Thank you for joining us. It's 1:30 on a beautiful February afternoon. Hopefully everybody had a good Valentine's Day. So we will begin the liquor control. Steve, we have just a few items on the agenda. So number one, approve minutes of the January 20th, 2022 regular meeting. If we have any comments or corrections on the minutes, otherwise we'll accept a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other further comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number two, review liquor applications. Application for the issuance of a Class GH alcoholic beverage license to United States Axe LLC, doing business as United States Axe, to be located at 4265 45th Street South, Suite 147. Steve.
Thank you, Commissioner, and welcome this afternoon to the Liquor Control Board members. So we have the one application today, and it is for a GH, which is beer and wine. It does require food sales, and the food sales must exceed the alcohol sales. We've done the background check on Miss Knight, and there were no issues of concern. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Are there any comments or questions? I just have a real quick one. To me, axe throwing and alcohol, I don't know if that's a winning combination, but apparently some other places already have approved this, and maybe can you talk a little bit, has that been an issue or has that gone well so far?
So we haven't received any feedback that the alcohol and the axe throwing has caused any issues at all. Seems to be going rather well in the other locations that have that, so. That's
very good. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, just for the humor's sake of it, I believe in the state law, it is illegal to have all types of weapons in a bar. So it's not just guns, it's knives and so forth and so on. So that's off the top of my head. I haven't looked it up lately, but as I recall, so for what it's worth, they're wielding axes in bars, so.
And maybe if this passes, we can ask Nancy to maybe just make sure that is that we're following the rules. I guess would that be acceptable to you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can look it up too, but it's to find out. But it's North Dakota Commercial Code, liquor, and then you can search weapons or whatever, and they have their ordinance or whatever. So.
Very good. Any other comments or questions? I have not been to an axe throwing bar yet, so even though I dress with a plaid shirt today, I am not a huge axe thrower, but the flip side of it is it's a popular thing and it's a good business, and if it operates safely, to me, that's a good thing. Any other comments or questions?
Just asking about some clarification on the floor plans that involved a bar with seating. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, the initial drawings that we got did include that. We did get an update later, and I apologize I didn't get that out to you. The updated floor plan does not have any bar seating. It just has all tables and booths and that type of thing. So it does comply with what the ordinance says. Sorry about not getting that out to you.
Oh, not at all. Thank you. And I'm also curious because I know these axe bars are very common, and I'm assuming a no weapons policy is pretty common as well. So I am curious about if we could follow up on. I'm just curious why that's what's the situation there. But pending that being allowed, then yeah.
Very good. Any other comments or questions? Then we will accept a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Do you have a second? Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Very good. And the last item on the agenda is number 3, Police Department Monthly Report. Chief.
Good afternoon. Nothing significant unless the board has questions.
I believe Lydia had some questions. I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Lydia.
Looking over the report, I did notice a distressing number of calls to the windbreak. I think there were 8 in the last month, close to 9, 4 in one night. Could you speak to this?
Well, we're trying to actually meet with them to have a discussion about that, but a lot of it, if you look at it, has to do with potential over-intoxication, which is a difficult thing to enforce. So we're trying to meet with one of the owners to have that discussion.
I definitely understand it's hard to enforce that. I think of this as more of a culture at the bar situation. So I hope you mentioned that.
Yeah, well, we haven't gotten great cooperation from one of the owners, so we're trying to work with a different one.
Okay, do you have a question?
I'm interested in knowing what sorts of mitigation strategies we can implement. I don't think it's fair to penalize businesses who are doing their part and following the rules, but it seems like we've got a few in here that are repeat offenders in my view. And I mean, I'm reading very intoxicated male, intoxicated females, intoxicated male, and then some of them are kicked out into the street or the parking lot. And that's a big fear of mine, is what happens then. And it's like they're over-serving, and then when fights happen, they kick them out so they don't have to deal with it. And that's not what we should be doing, and I'm interested in addressing that however we need to look at it.
Sure. Maybe the board wants to even have that discussion with the owners. That might be something you would entertain as well.
The other thing, Chief, I mean, this has been chronic. It isn't like, I mean, this month, obviously, there's a lot, but this isn't the only month. It's been kind of going on. And I appreciate you trying to get people to do things the nice way with the carrot and the stick, but at a certain point, to me, and we have everyone else has to follow the rules. And to me, I think if it's going to, at a certain point, you have to be fair to everybody else, and also for public safety. I think this is an issue. So whatever we can do, however we can support you, but I think we're all in agreement that this isn't the first month, and you are more aware than we are about it, and so I think whatever we can do to get some better compliance, I think that would be good.
Sure. We'll continue to look at it, but I think maybe having the owner come in and speak with the board to better understand those concerns. We've expressed them numerous times.
Yeah, Chief, I appreciate the work on the spreadsheet to, we got a copy of, about all the reports. One thing that came to mind that I haven't heard a lot of lately is when an officer checks where he has a problem in one of these nightclub type bars, does he ever check or estimate the attendance? Because they all have fire department capacities.
Sure.
And I'm wondering if that is part of the problem, as these places get so busy on a Saturday night, let's say.
Well, we can check capacity. We've done that even during the COVID timeframe, so we definitely could. If they were over capacity, we could do something with that. And I believe, doesn't inspections do capacity?
I think fire sets the capacity of the facility, so, yep, but we could work with them.
Right, but if we felt it was over, we could.
Okay.
You can
Well,
report that.
I just think that'd be interesting as you build databases and start keeping track of their infractions and stuff like that. If that was a chronic problem, because it's like too many wasps in the hornet's nest.
Right.
So,
Nope, good point.
I have one other question. So there was a citation issued for a minor in consumption and a minor entering a building. So who gets issued the citation?
The minor does?
The minor does.
Yes.
And if I can add a quick editorial comment, the thing that's frustrating is the legislature just reduced the penalties for minors drinking, which is the exact opposite message that we're trying to send. So anyway, that was something that, and I'm sure that we were involved during the legislative session, but that's how it goes. And so they've kind of gone the opposite direction as what we're trying to do. So I think that's a little bit disappointing. And Chief, I don't know if you want to make any editorial comments, but to me, the hard part is we hold the liquor license holders, they get a harsh penalty if they violate these. And so they are getting penalized, but then the person committing the crime is not getting penalized or actually reduced. So it's a little bit of a mixed message.
Yeah, I think we're seeing some success with the scanners, in terms of the businesses that are doing that. So a lot of these underage drinkers are being pushed to probably locations where they're not being checked.
And so, Chief, that segues into our next topic, if that's okay, if you want to talk about that, go ahead.
Well, actually, Public Health came up with the sports bars IDs, and then we received some from Windbreak earlier this week. But I think underlying message is that for locations that are using scanners, they're identifying a lot of people who would otherwise get into the establishment and consume underage. And again, I think just the obvious thing that's probably happening is if I'm the underage drinker, I'm going to go where I'm not getting scanned because I'll probably get in. So, I mean, other than that, I applaud the businesses that are utilizing this tool. I was in Minneapolis a week ago, and there was another tool they were using there to check IDs. Well, the Cult just showed me another one that they have. And so there's just a lot of different technology out there to do this. And I think it's a smart business move. And I think we should really recognize the businesses that are doing that because that's, I think, a very good move on their part.
Chief, if there's any way that we could get that information out, because a lot of bars and restaurants are already voluntarily using them. So if we could get out what the ballpark cost was and things like that, I think from our perspective, I think that'd be good PR. If there's some way that we as a group can at least get information out to everybody, and maybe it's a topic that we could talk about at a future meeting, just so, because I believe there's a lot of businesses that would do it. A lot of them don't know how much it costs. So if that's possible, I think that'd be good.
Yep, I can work with Steve on that.
And can I add one more thing? So we're going to meet again. The Southtown Poorhouse is next Thursday. So Steve, if you could, everybody here is welcome to attend. If you could send out kind of a reminder email, it's noon next Thursday. But if you, just for everybody on the board and things like that, if you could do that, I'd appreciate that.
Sure, that's a hearing for the city commission. It's got remanded back from district court. So that's, we've been working to get that scheduled and get that in place. And so, yes, the Southtown Poorhouse hearing will be at noon on the 24th.
Right. Any other comments or questions? Go
I
ahead,
have
Kate.
one other question. Is the VFW's license renewed? Is that all
Yes.
taken care of now?
All of the places that were not in compliance are now in compliance.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Well, it's 1:42, so unlike the governor of North Dakota, I will not talk for 2 hours giving an update, and so we'll call it adjourned. Thank everybody for coming. Have a good afternoon.